Well, wasn't that exciting? A little overtime drama for a change. You don't like to give away points in your division, but when you're a few points ahead of the other team, it's not as big a deal because what really matters? 2 points. And Luddy, do you ever apologize for 2 points?
Never apologize for winning a hockey game.
You never do. Craig Ludwig. Sam Nestler will join us a little later. I'm Owen Newkirk. Our producer, John Anderson, is here. We are ready. And yes, the droid you're looking for got a point tonight. A little side storyline as the Stars beat Utah. This is the DLS Dallas Stars postgame show.
Get ready, boys.
This is the DLLS Dallas Stars postgame show. A 3-2 overtime victory for the Stars tonight over the Utah Hockey Club. And Luddy, as we went live just now, I got an email from the Stars PR department. Not only do they have a day off tomorrow, Sunday, which is probably scheduled, they will not hold practice on Monday prior to their flight to New York City. A 6-game point streak, a successful homestand will earn you extra time off the ice.
Well deserved, you know, and I think that there's some guys maybe have a couple bumps and bruises and things like that. And so, yeah, you got to throw them a bone every once in a while. That may have been discussed. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't because the last time they brought something like that up, they had to kind of do a rerun. So, but I think that, you know, they poured it in. They found a way to win a game. And, you know, you would think it's a lot easier when you're at home, you know, playing all these games, but it's not. I mean, you're home for this length of time, and sometimes you can get complacent. So it's more of a mental thing, and they found a way to grab that extra point tonight.
When you were playing, is an extra day off the coach's idea, or is the leadership group get consulted with something like this?
No, I'm guessing the coaches already had something like this in mind, knowing how well that they've been finding ways to grab all these points and say, listen, let's give them a little break if they come through. They may have even gotten it if they lost the point in overtime tonight too, but good to go.
My question, and we'll get to the recap here in just a second, is you haven't had a real practice. You've had a homestand. You have a day off on tomorrow, Sunday, and then you could actually have a practice before you fly to New York. But are you really gaining all that much full team skate during the middle of the season like this?
You know, and the only thing you can actually think of is it's power play stuff, right? I mean, that's one of the areas that they want to work on.
They didn't get any practice in that tonight.
No, yeah, exactly. But the thing is the problem with a power play practice is that it's all your top guys who play the top minutes, you know, so you're looking for the guys that need the rest. Their rest is probably best right now.
All right, let's get to this one as the Stars get a victory for the third time in 3 attempts over the Utah Hockey Club. And interestingly enough, excuse me, all 3 games decided by 1 goal. This time, the first one to go to overtime. Luddy, there were no goals scored in the first period, but I thought the Stars were slightly better in terms of they had a slight edge in chances, but they definitely had the better of the high danger ones. And the early one came on a rebound that kicked out to Wyatt Johnson, and he was in the slot, ripped one. And Kirill Vejmelka was very good tonight.
Yeah, I think he was good the whole game. And again, I think he was that goaltender tonight that allowed those guys to hang around to grab at least 1 point.
Jamiebenn gets a partial breakaway, drives to the net. He did it the first chance of the game where he went down the right side, got a backhander. This time, he had even a little bit more separation. Vejmelka denied him. They did a compilation on Victory Plus tonight where they showed Jamiebenn getting some scoring chances tonight. But this is, like, we're going to talk about his goal in the second period, but this is not any sort of, oh, well, he had a good game tonight. This is consistent. And I can't get over this, and I know that he's been really good and consistent this year. But it wasn't that long ago where beast mode Jamiebenn happened once in a blue moon, and then it was more disappearing act. Now it's, I mean, he's not always beast mode, but he has been effective. Last couple of years, he really looks good.
I think he's excited about the team. I mean, all in all, you're the captain, and now you've got a club that, you know, you expect to be there at the end. And I think that, you know, he's a low-key kind of guy, right? And even the interviews, they suck most of the time, just to be blunt.
Yeah, he's
you know what
trying
I mean?
really hard
But
not to say anything.
Yeah, but he's not that guy. And where it comes out now, I use the other guy, Darian Hatcher. Hatchie wasn't. He let his game do the talking for him, and that's what Jamie does. And so it's just nice to see. I know that there's been people thinking that he needs to move on, but I'm just telling you, he's the heartbeat of that team in that room. Whether he's a talker or however it is, it's on display again tonight. He was in the first period. It's a little light for me, but Jamie's out there all the time trying to stir the pot. He's always the guy in front of the net, and he's always the guy in people's face, and he goes to the hard areas of the ice.
The next chance belonged to Maverick Bork, and he was going down the left wing, and the Utah defenseman fell down. And so it's all of a sudden a glorious lane to the net. He comes in and just snaps it high and wide right. Just missed the upper corner. We saw a couple of those from Stankoven tonight as well. When a guy's confident, feeling it, he hits the net, he scores those. It doesn't have to score every time, but those look good. This looks like one of those kids that's just fighting the stick right now.
Yeah, well, I think sometimes it's easier to get that shot off when there is some traffic. When you have a little extra time, you think a little bit more. I mean, it's only a split second. And from one of the replays I saw, it wasn't as close as you actually thought.
No,
he missed it by. I think he was trying to be too perfect. I had a guy tell me a long, long time ago why he'd be talking to me about scoring goals. I have no idea, but it was a Hall of Famer, Guy Lafleur, and he said, you don't always just shoot for that corner. You shoot to miss the goaltender. At least you're going to get a piece of it, and maybe there's a find a way in. But anyway, I don't need to talk. These kids are all good the way that they shoot. But I think sometimes it's a little bit better just to be able to have to react and get that little extra time, and then you look here, you look there, you look there. Next thing you know, you're in a little too tight. But I mean, he got a good shot off. It just was a little wide.
Early on through that amount of chances, it was all Dallas Stars. I thought they did a really nice job of pressuring Utah in their defensive zone and the Stars' attacking zone. They didn't give up much, and it felt like Utah did not have any time and space, and they didn't look like they were going to be that dangerous. It was all Dallas. But then, as you said, Vejmelka made a couple of good saves. They kind of got their feet under them, and the back half of the period, it wasn't as if they dominated or anything, but they were better, and it was more balanced. And the best chance they had, now they had a few, Cooley had one, Gunther, Hayden, O'Brien, even Spicy Tuna had a couple chances tonight. But Nick Schmaltz had an open wrist shot. They moved the puck from the right side, point down to the left wall, and it looked like Dallas was on a penalty kill because they just didn't have that tight
moving.
It felt like they were chasing the puck a little, and Schmaltz had a good shot, but guess who was there? Jake Oettinger with a really solid save. I thought that was big for two reasons. One, it was a good chance. Two, because Jake hadn't seen a lot of pucks at that point.
Yeah, and also, as you're saying, Dallas has some momentum going there, and then they go down to, down there one time and a puck goes in the net. So, but that's what Jake's talked about is, he says he's got to be ready, regardless if I'm getting, 15 shots a period or 5, and if there's not a lot of action around him, and he's got to be able to come up big, and he did.
Well, you go to the second period, it was 10-9 in shots. Stars had a 9-7 edge in chances. I had high dangers at 3-1. You'd say that's a good period for them. I think it was overall. Well, they got the first goal of the game 16 seconds into the second period, and the captain, who continues to be really, really impressive, now has points in 10 of his last 12. He gets another goal, his 10th goal of the year. He is 7 away from a pretty big milestone, 400 career goals, which is a big number. And again, it's Wyatt Johnston and Matt Duchene. That line, since being put together, probably because of injury necessity, not probably, because of injury necessity, they have been a regular chance creator, and they get rewarded again.
Well, it was another ridiculous pass from Wyatt. It's very similar to what we saw last game.
He's really good in that trapezoid, isn't he?
Yeah, he gets, once he gets down there, but the whole key to that is he doesn't play with his head on the puck. He can feel it on his stick, and he can stop on a dime, and you see him take a look, then he takes a second look. And I truly believe that, the guys that are playing with him, they make eye contact. And I think once that, Jamie spots him and he spots Jamie, and he just takes half a step to his right, and he just finds that lane. But what the smart thing that Jamie did there is he stayed out a little bit higher. The one thing about jamiebenn is you always find him on the top of the crease. I mean, he plays the game in that area, and that's a hard area to play, especially when you got some bigger defensemen a lot of times. But that particular time, Jamie read what the coverage was, and he stayed out a little bit higher, which gave him a little bit more time. But he just got rid of it, and he finds a hole. So, but again, I go back to to Wyatt. I mean, the way that he can be in traffic at times and still have the ability to keep his head up and spot guys, it's uncanny at times.
The storyline lately is the Stars have been scoring goals and then giving up goals in quick response. It happened again tonight, and the first time it happened, it was 1 minute and 14 seconds because Matias Michelli, who has not been scoring lately, in fact, he hadn't had a point since the first time the Stars played Utah, which was back on December 2nd. Well, he scores from Lawson Krause and Nick Bjugstad at 1:30, as I mentioned, 1 minute, 14 seconds. And I'm just going to rub my eyes real quick, Luds, because this is not how you defend a zone entry at all.
Yeah, I shake my head a lot. But again, when you talk about how Dallas plays in the offensive zone, they're on their toes, they're on their toes. They're on their toes in all three zones. And sometimes you have to read the situation. This particular case, coming through the middle of the ice, it's Logan. I mean,
they're in good position right here.
Yeah, but I even put this
right?
on the best defensive defenseman on this team, and maybe one of the top 10 in the game is Essa. Essa has to read what's coming at him, but he immediately moves to the wall. But Logan, who's standing on the blue line here, again, for the folks that aren't watching, Logan's standing on the blue line. He never looks and he never picks up Krause coming into the zone. So that's the first part that I have a problem with. Then once the puck is moved to Krause, it gets bumped in the middle. Now all of a sudden there's a 2-on-1. Nils has to take a look. He never looks over his shoulder to find Marcelli at all because Stankoven, there's nothing. He's not getting any help there. That shouldn't have played out like that, but it did. But when you read this now, you can't just go flying over there. You have to buy time, hoping that maybe Stankoven can get back. You want your goaltender to come out and be comfortable challenging. He doesn't, and so he rushes over to Krause here, and what he really does, he leaves more than half the ice right in front of your goaltender wide open. Marcelli he makes a great shot. He shoots it right away, and he gets it upstairs on Jake. But again, the puck pops over. It's right in the middle of the ice. There's nobody there. We've seen this too many times, and whether it starts in the zone or comes from entering the zone, I don't like it when all the green jerseys or the white jerseys on that particular night for the Dallas Stars are not in the most dangerous the area of the ice. Here, they aren't. Jake can't come up with that big save. And again, 1-1 right away.
John, put that first screenshot, if you would, please. Okay, so there's about right before this puck entered, there was a view of this goal from the camera behind the goal.
Mm-hmm.
And you could see a box of Stars. You can still see it there, right? For those who are not watching on our YouTube broadcasts, there's literally 4 Stars players in a square and then Logan Stankoven in between. Theoretically, Luddy, if you back this up one frame, which we don't have on this prepared, they're they've got inside ice. They're right where they should be. But as you mentioned it, not only does Lindell go, everybody else is flat-footed.
If we could show live motion, you'd see where Stank stopped skating, Steele stopped skating. Bork was already standing still. He was trying to hold somebody up right in here, and it could have been Marcelli. But
all three forwards,
they stopped their feet. You have to sense danger. We went back to last game. There was another play in the zone where Duchesne was going one way and Jamie was out high at the top of the circle and left the slot wide open. This is what I'm worried about as the season goes along and as you get into playoffs. Like plays like this, these can win and lose series for you, and they just have to tighten that up, a little more aware of your surroundings. You have to be able to sense danger. You have to look, and you can't just assume everything's taken care of. And that's why I don't like sometimes when they just grab their guy and then it ends up taking them out of that good quality area in the middle of the ice, and it allows good chances.
Up next in the DLS Dallas Stars postgame show, we are going to talk about the next pair of goals, the third period, and then that exciting 3-on-3 overtime. Coming up next.
Founded in 2010, Herman Marshall, Dallas County's first legal distillery since the repeal of Prohibition. Located in the historic downtown Wiley, Texas is proud to partner with the Guns N' Hoses Foundation of North Texas on a single-barrel expression of its signature straight bourbon whiskey. The Guns N' Hoses Foundation is a nonprofit organization dedicated to providing immediate financial assistance to the families of fallen police officers and firefighters lost in the line of duty. They're built from the grain up through family, fellowship, and friends. So, for every bottle of single-barrel straight bourbon whiskey, Herman Marshall donates 15% of its revenue to the Guns N' Hoses Foundation of North Texas for those who went before. Stop into your closest goody-goody liquors and other fine retailers.
Let's talk about game time. You know what big games are coming up? How about the college football semifinals? How about the college football national title? Big NFL playoff games coming up. You need Game Time, and you need to be in the stands. Well, download Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out all the fluff, just showing you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. So whether you download the app and check out the all-in pricing, which means you toggle the feature and you can see what you're going to pay up front. No surprise fees at checkout, not a certain dollar amount, and then it's more when you go to actually check out. Seat views, you know exactly what, maybe it's a stadium or venue, whether it's sports, concerts, theater, comedy. You've never been to this particular venue. You know exactly what you're getting. Plus, they have the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code DLLS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code DLLS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, lads. Second set of goals here belongs to the Stars, and then right again to the Utah Hockey Club. It was Oscar Beck, who, fresh off of a new contract extension this week, getting a 2-year deal inked up, scored his second of the year. This is not something he's known for, a lot of offense, but at 10:30 of the second period, he scores. Arttu Huru gets his first career NHL point with the assist, and Nils Lundqvist starts this play as it pinballs in. And
Nils is the only guy that had actually touched his stick.
That's right. A little fortuitous, perhaps?
Huru gets an assist, didn't touch his stick. Beck gets the goal, doesn't touch his stick.
And he wasn't the last guy to touch
exactly.
it.
It goes off the skate.
Hit Krause.
Yeah, hits him in the skate and pops in. But again, they don't ask you how, they just ask you how many. So it's nice for Huru to get that point and for Beck to get another one, especially after a couple days later, he gets a nice little pump in his raise.
And honestly, it wasn't as though the Stars were playing poorly. I just thought that at that point, Utah raised their game a little bit in the second period.
It seemed like the second half of the game, they were the ones that were kind of pressing. They had more chances, it seemed like, or at least it felt like they had a little life in them, more than Dallas did. It was almost like Dallas wanted to get the game over with.
Yes.
And we know that we're getting a couple days off, and we're getting on a plane in a couple days. Not that they knew, but I'm just saying it just felt like they were on the gas, and Dallas was just going to kind of cruise through with this one.
Well, it was not to be a cruise, because 3 minutes and 7 seconds after Oscar Beck's goal, it's Matias Maccelli again, his second of the game. And this one was a different kind of mistake, because unlike the first one on a rush chance, this was a flubbed wraparound attempt where Alexander Kerfoot loses control trying to come around to the far post. It trickles across, and Maccelli just turns and what happened in front of the net there?
Well, I think it started with Dumba. You know, when the puck is behind the net and it's down below the goal line, Dumba thought that he could get. I think he could get out in here and grab him, and he didn't realize it. He was just getting off the back. And what happens then, once the puck gets wrapped around, it actually slides off the stick, and it just kind of goes flying through the crease. And then there's just a whack. And Thomas actually had one little touch on the puck. He was just going to clear it, and he doesn't. It's just one of those soft ones. And then he goes down. But it's funny how these kind of things find a way, because Harley's on the ice, Jake is on the ice, and it still finds a way to squeak through.
And Maccelli, who, again, I said hadn't been very offensive in the month of December at all, has a huge game. 2 goals, 5th of the year. Kerfoot and Ian Cole the assists. And again, Dallas gives up an equalizing goal not far after they've scored. Do it a couple of times, whatever.
Yeah.
Bit of a trend lately.
Yeah, and it'll be a concern for coaches, thinking that you have things, the momentum going your way. But again, it's take your foot off the gas, and they're right back in it. And I actually thought, I looked at that a couple different times, and I think Maccelli was going to try to lift the puck. Like he kind of had a stick where you're just going to kind of pitchfork it up in the air, and he kind of whiffed on it too, enough that it just stayed on the ice and went through Thomas and just got past Jake also.
Stars had I thought they finished the second period better than they started. Obviously, Jamie Benn scored 16 seconds in, but the last few minutes, it felt like Dallas, even though they gave up the tying goal, had the better of the chances. and there were two Luds. First, it was Wyatt Johnston had a 3-on-2 where he ended up with an open wrist shot at the right circle, and he just pushed it wide to the left post. And then this was the Hintz chance. You had said to me as we were getting ready to watch the third period that Hintz and Robertson didn't seem that noticeable tonight.
Right.
I completely agree with this exception because Hintz sped down the left side, got past the D to the net, tried to slide it on the ice 5-hole, and Vejmelka wasn't fooled.
Yeah, and I think he, again, these goalies study these guys, and I think he knows when you come off that, there's either two things that are going to happen. He's either going to try to go 5-hole, he's going to keep it, and then try to get past him and throw it back in. And on this one here, he was up to the task.
So you go to the third period, no goals, but 9-4 chances I had tracked for Utah. As you just said, better back half of the period. They had just seemed to have a little bit more on that. The thing is that I didn't have a single high danger chance in the third period. There were scoring chances, quality ones, but it felt like both teams were trying to protect the 2-2 rather than risk losing.
See, I felt Dallas was.
Did you?
I thought, and I don't want to say that Utah was trying to protect it, but it just seemed like they were on the hunt a little bit more. They had more guys jumping into the play. There were times when they had 4 guys down below the tops of the circle. I think they wanted to end it. They just, didn't find a way to do it.
By the way, 1 power play in the entire game. It looked for a while like they weren't going to call a single one. And New Year's Eve, you think the referees maybe have dinner plans. But January 4th, they just let them go. Now, there wasn't a lot, though.
There's nobody. We can't complain about Dallas's power play tonight.
No, we can't because they never had an opportunity.
Need it. They didn't need it tonight.
How about the Stars penalty kill? I mean, they've been good.
Pull them up.
Who runs the penalty kill?
I would think Elaine does.
Yeah, he gets
Nazardine.
Nazardine gets credit for that.
And
we'll have to make an evil Nazardine as well.
They've been on fire this year with their PK.
Have they ever? Yeah. They're really good. Do you know that even Idle yesterday they moved up to second in the league in penalty kill? I mean,
that's how good they are. They're moving up and they're not even having playing a game.
It's amazing. They've been really, really good. So off to overtime. And now Stars fans have complained. One of the few things that they've complained besides the power play is in games in which they've been trailing, they haven't been able to find a way to tie it and then try to get something and maybe pilfer 1 or 2 wins in overtime. This wasn't a chase from behind, but they got to overtime, and 3-on-3, Luddy was pretty wide open. Keller, Harley, Cooley, Jason Robertson, breakaway. Logan Stankoven had a chance. He also had another one where he fumbled it, going down on a 2-on-1. It almost looked like a 2-on-0.
Felt bad for him.
Remember when I said Maverick Bork shot earlier in the second period or first period
where
too
much time?
He pushed it wide and a confident guy makes a better play? Logan Stankoven looks like he hasn't scored a goal in 21 games now.
Yeah, and that's probably exactly how he felt too. And he probably in his head thinking it's over. It's over. I
thought so too.
I got it.
Here
I got it. And then all of a sudden it just blew up on him. Logan, that happened to me in over 1,200 games. Every time I touched the puck, it would blow up. So I feel your pain.
Well, Mr. Overtime, Thomas Harley scores again. When I say again, it's his first overtime goal this year. But think about this. 4 career regular season overtime goals for Thomas Harley. This one at 3:01 of overtime tonight. His 5th of the year. Feels like he hadn't scored for a little bit. I'd have to go back and look exactly.
First goal in 8 games.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Duchesne was the one that drove the net. There's Wyatt Johnson gets an assist. Duchesne with 2 helpers tonight. This was a really clever, skillful finish by Harley at the side of the net.
I'm not sure that he saw where the puck, because it went through a couple bodies, but I thought it was a play by Matt Duchesne. Duchesne gets the puck, like we've seen so many times, coming in on his backhand side. He takes the puck to the net. And he gets in there, and he's right in the crease, and there's a little whack. But right at the last second, you can see his head look up again, and I think he sees Harley coming. He grabs the puck. He doesn't grab it. He just bumps it back about 6-8 inches. So it's out. Thomas wouldn't. Otherwise, he's got to come in there and maybe dig it out or just take a whack at it. But I think he bumps it back enough that Harley can get it on his forehand, and then somehow he finds another hole. And he had to go through at least 2 bodies, if not a couple of them. And I don't know how much the goaltender was standing up in there, but he finds a little crack in there.
So 3-game homestand. Remember, they were on the road last weekend. But Buffalo, they win that one. Then they play Thursday. They beat Ottawa. Tonight, overtime win over Utah. So 3 for 3.
Those are 3 teams you would think they should beat, though, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're expecting to win those games.
Remember,
they should.
Buffalo came in having won 3 straight after an
but they're
awful.
Still Buffalo.
They're still Buffalo. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen was pretty good in that game, I thought. Then they play Ottawa. And
Ukko-Pekka
Ottawa's
Luukkonen.
struggling right now because
They're on a long road trip too.
their goalies have been hurt. But Brady Tkachuk is still an absolute thorn in team sides. They got that win. That was good. Tonight, here's a team that may or may not make the playoffs. I still think they have a shot at sneaking in, but they're living in that area where the Stars had been for much of the last decade, where you win a couple games, you're in, you lose a couple, you're out, and it's nervous all the way.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tough place to live. Whether or not the Utah Hockey Club makes it in tonight is yet into the playoffs this year is yet to be seen. But I think they're good enough to be in the fight. You don't want to be that. You want to be above that. And they've won 3 close games against them this year.
Yeah, and I think the other thing, they get a couple days off and they're getting on the road, and there is something to being home all the time. And again, they have families, and there's distractions with kids and all that other kind of stuff. So it's kind of nice to get on the road and get in your hotel room. They all got their own rooms, right?
Oh, yeah.
Get room service, and you can just kind of chill and watch what you want to watch on TV. The other thing is, tomorrow morning they're going to wake up and they're going to be in third place. And I know that they're tied, but they got a couple games in hand. They're now tied, I believe it is, with the Avs, but they're going to be there because of the games in hand. They're actually going to be sitting in the top 3, and I think that's a nice
lost
little peak.
tonight in overtime.
Yeah,
that was the final score. You're right, tied in points, but with 2 games in hand. So 4 wins in a row, points in 6. Look at Minnesota, just won 3 straight.
And they put Kirill on the shelf, didn't they? So I think that, I don't know, for some reason they keep finding a way. Minnesota
goaltending.
Does. It's got to be because the guy's been
Gustafson's
great
been
since
unbelievable.
the year. So
well, and Winnipeg's only at 56 points, the best record in the league. So
yeah, but I believe in them more than I do in Minnesota hanging on there.
Winnipeg, Minnesota, Dallas, Colorado. The top 4 in this Central Division is just a murderer's row this year.
But it would be not, whether it's going to be Minnesota, whoever it is in the first round. I just think you'd prefer to be starting at home. So, I don't think you have to get up there number 1, but
2.
Yeah, get to 2.
If you could pick right now, look, we're a long way to go. This was game.
Don't ever pick. That's a kiss of death.
Is it?
Hey, did you know that what's the women's called? The
Professional Women's Hockey Association,
PWHL. Right? They get to pick.
I've heard so.
They picked in the first round, and the team I believe that was the best in the league picked, and they got knocked off.
Don't you think that would be an interesting wrinkle, though?
I would hate.
Here's the thing.
Yeah,
so
be careful.
I know this is a soccer reference, but this year, North Texas, which plays in MLS Next Pro, which is the developmental league for Major League Soccer.
Again, find a way to get the soccer stuff in here every show. Well,
they just won the championship.
We have a soccer
blooper
or something like
that. Because they finished first. You ready for this?
Like a bunch of toilet paper falling or something, or cotton balls, or I don't know.
Because they finished first, they got to choose their opponent for the 4 rounds of playoffs, right? You have 2 rounds, conference final, and then the final. In the first 2 rounds, they got to choose which team had to travel to Dallas to play, and they won. I just think that, first of all, I really liked it when they played the top 8 and they reseeded after the first round. I thought that gave the higher seeds, especially the division and conference winners, more benefit of a long 82-game successful season. But there is some intrigue, and especially in how much parity in the NHL playoffs are. If you're the number 1 seed, let's say last year was the Dallas Stars, as they were, and instead of getting Vegas in the first round, they pick. Who do you pick? And how much motivation is it for the team that gets picked and has to come here? It would be interesting. It'd be totally different.
Back in the day, it was called bulletin board material.
Yeah, you were going to say
you don't say things in the paper. You don't say something in an interview that gives anybody any ammo coming in playoff time, especially, or into your building at any time. Now all of a sudden you're picking the team you want. To me, if you have the right kind of character in that team, you're like, oh, is that right? So you want us? Okay, well now you got us. Like I have a thing with that. I know I wouldn't want to go that route.
You hate the distractions of it.
Yeah.
Here's the funny part. If the playoffs started today or tomorrow, let's say, Dallas would go to Minnesota for the first round. Minnesota would be the higher seed. I wouldn't hate that.
No.
Winnipeg would host Vancouver, and Vegas would host Colorado.
Vegas, Colorado would be all eyes on that one.
And then LA hosts Edmonton, because right now LA has the fewer games played.
Yeah.
That's an interesting top 8.
Yeah. Obviously I'd be watching the Vegas series. I mean, you talk about some speed and
Vegas,
some skill
Colorado,
and some
first
talent.
round series.
Yeah, that's a tough one. But that's the part that I don't like. You don't, again, I know we're Dallas Stars guys, but you don't want to see either one of those teams out in the first round.
Yeah,
You
but wouldn't you also, if you're the Stars, and right now you're looking at, okay, if you played Minnesota in the first round, and then you've got to go through either Winnipeg or Colorado in the second round, wouldn't it be nice if one of those teams was on the other side?
No, I'm not saying
you don't have to. But
What
I
I'm
know
saying,
what you mean.
I'm saying from a spectator.
You're talking about hockey fans.
I'm talking about. I mean, you want the best teams playing as long as they possibly can.
Well, then again, that's where you want to see that 1 through 8 instead of what they have.
I'm more of a fan of that.
I like that. All right. Well, more of that later as we get closer to playoffs because we still have a long way to go.
Yeah.
Up next, it's super chat time and maybe regular chat. And I saw our boss, GM Ben, was in the chat earlier here in the postgame show.
Got his $1.99 out again.
Let's see if he splashes the cash tonight. Next. But first, let's talk about the East-West Shrine Bowl. America's oldest college football all-star game is being held right here in Texas. On January 30th, be a part of history as the 100th East-West Shrine Bowl at AT&T Stadium will be played. Since 1925, the game has benefited Shriners Children's and its mission to provide innovative pediatric specialty care to improve and transform the lives of children. See some of the largest names in football and some of the top college football players going head-to-head ahead of the NFL draft. Previous alums of this game are players like, of course, Tom Brady, Walter Payton, Roger Staubach, Lawrence Taylor, and more. Even a couple of Cowboys are alums, Brian Anger and Rico Dowdle, to name a couple. East-West Shrine Bowl has served as the starting point for many noteworthy NFL careers, including 80 members of the Pro Football Hall of Fame and more than 200 members of the College Football Hall of Fame. Tickets start at just $20. Visit shrinebowl.com to buy yours today. And now, let's talk about Sleeper, the best fantasy league platform out there. Put your ball knowledge to the test by picking whether your favorite or least favorite players will have more or less than their projected stats each week. Tomorrow, Austin Matthews is back, came back tonight. He had 3 points against the Bruins. Let's take the Leafs captain to score more than 0.5 goals against the Flyers tomorrow. With Sleeper, the more picks you combine, the more you can win, all the way up to 100 times your money. Sleeper keeps you in the loop with instant alerts for breaking news and major injuries. Stay ahead of the game and keep track of league updates in real time so you're always informed and ready to outsmart your friends. If you think you have what it takes, new users can download the Sleeper app and use the code DLLS stars to get $55 in free entries when you place a $5 contest. Apply it to any contest, doesn't have to be your first. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. All right. Are you ready to chat?
Let's chitter
Are you ready to super chat?
Little chit chat.
All right. John, I believe it's time for some super chats.
Bing bong.
We're going to start with I Love Misty, who threw out a Lundqvist and Johnston. In the immortal words of Luds, Thomas has got the Harley. Not the prettiest win, but we'll take the 2 points and jump back into C3, which is third place in the Central.
Got a reputation now, doesn't he? What's that for him?
4 career overtime goals.
You know, but the thing is, like the 3-on-3 for him is the perfect situation, right? I mean, he skates so well. Even tonight, early on, John and I were talking about him, and he has the instincts offensively, when to jump into the play, and he's got some poise down there. He's got a hell of a shot. I mean, he's got that snapper, and he gets it upstairs. But he's good in tight with things, and he has good vision when he's down there. He's an offensive guy, right? And he skates well. And I just think when a guy like that skates that well and can kind of go east-west when he needs to, 3-on-3 is right up his alley.
And is that any further evidence of why we were talking about maybe trying him to lead the power play?
Yeah. I mean, again, if it keeps going, well, it's not sideways, but I mean, if it keeps kind of chugging down and you want to pick up the pace a little, I think it's worth a look. I don't think that he's the guy that should be out there only 30, 25 seconds on a power play. And it's not about how he dances around, in the offensive zone. It's his decisions with the puck. It's that quick wrist shot that he has that to get it up to the net. He makes good passes. I I just think that, and his quickness walking the line too, even though Miro walks it well too. But Harley's, to me, is a little more creative.
Mm-hmm.
He can go through. I think Miro is obviously good, but I think Harley's, there's more risk in his game at times. But I think that risk is okay on the power play when you have an extra guy out there, as long as you're not that last guy and it's going the other way.
Do you think Miro's a little too team conscious when it comes to that? Because when he wants to, he can make plays, and he can take over games. I just get the sense that Miro's personality, his style of play, is anything to help the team and be a good teammate first, which is completely admirable, and I love that about his style. But sometimes you need that Cale Makar, I'm just going to do it myself.
And I think that's what Harley has. I think Harley thinks he can score in every shot. And I think, and he does when he gets an opportunity, when he gets down there. And again, the 3-on-3, more space, a little more time. 5-on-4, same thing. And he's, I think he would. I think he deserves a look. That's all I would say. I don't mean a look by throw him out there in the first power play and they don't score. Like, give him some time.
Like, give him several games.
Give him 3 to 5 games, and let's just see. And he doesn't have to score, but if it's opening up more, and you're seeing that there's more opportunities, and goalies are having a hard time, shutting it down more often than other guys, then maybe it's something. If not, then I don't think it would hurt.
All right, let's go to the next one.
Bing bong.
Ardell with a little Jamie Benn, Matt Duchene. Jamie Benn was an absolute savage tonight. The quintessential power forward performance tonight. Ben has been picking up attrition slack for a month now. He's setting the tone for the boys. Well, Ardell, in case you didn't see my tweet earlier, this is now points in 10 of his last 12. 4 goals, 8 assists. That's 12 points. And 13 of his last 17. That's consistent.
And he's doing it in his office. You don't see Jamie score a lot of goals from distance. And he goes to those hard areas, like I said earlier, and he's got quick hands. Like, a lot of times, like that goal he scored tonight, he shoots the puck standing straight up. He doesn't need to get down, spread his legs to get a lot on it. He's a strong man, and so he's got that ability to get the puck away. And I think he's the kind of guy that probably looks at the net before he even receives the pass from someone. So he has some kind of an idea, which I would assume most goal scorers are.
He had, I believe I added up in the third period, he had at least 6, if not maybe 7 quality chances tonight.
Well, he had 6 shots on net, and I think he had
a couple good misses too.
Yeah, and I think he had about 3 or 4 other ones. So yeah, he was the only thing I'm surprised about. And I don't know if I'm thinking too much here. He's not taking faceoffs. He only took 1 draw tonight. He took only 2 or 3 the other night. So he's not jumping in the circle. I know Matt Duchene. Well, he hasn't been for about 3-4 games. And I don't know why, especially on the power play on that strong side of his on the left hand. I know. And I just
what do you think that means?
I don't know. I mean, sometimes they got a little bump. Maybe he's got a little tweak in his wrist or something.
You think there's something
like
that's bothering him?
And it could be something because he always wins
the
faceoffs.
Well, he looks good enough at everything else.
Yeah, he's doing everything. But I just found it odd. I mean, I just thinking, especially in the offensive zone, on that left side, where his strong side is. Is it as simple
as it's just he's playing with Matt Duchene instead of with Wyatt Johnson because they're both left-handed?
But I still think in a close game, I mean, Jamie's face-off percentage right now is the lowest he's had in 7 years. I mean, he's 52%. Jamie's normally around 60.
Yeah, which 62. Is really, really good.
But the attempts or the face-offs that he hasn't taken, I'm like, well, that's his strong side over, especially in the offensive zone. Because you win the draw and you set up plays like that. The other same thing in the defensive zone. You rather start the puck with your heavy guy. But I just noticed tonight he only took 1 again. So I don't know.
There's a chat comment that Russell Lightfoot just put down and said, Captain was dainty barbarian again. I like the way that's described. Because he's very skillful. He's not just some brute that bowls his way through. He also has the touch.
And he can kind of get up on his toes a little bit. Yeah. He kind of sidesteps. He can slide through a couple guys. But what that is, why he can do that is because most of the time all the guys he plays against, he's running them over. So now all of a sudden
Did you see that one hit he had? I think it was in the third period where he was coming back behind from the corner. No, up the far wall, and he ran over, I think it was 22 Jack McBain, where he just, instead of like tying the guy up or it was in the Utah zone, and he came around the far side, and the puck was cleared, and McBain fumbled it, and there was another player, another Stars guy, and Jamie just came in, just took him right off his feet. Yeah. Couldn't help but notice it. It was pretty late in the game. It got the crowd going. All right, let's go to the next one.
Bing bong.
Sarcastic remarks with a little Masterton and Stanley Cup here. Hey, thanks for y'all's remarkable coverage of this team. You're welcome.
Is another one of the guys from your men's league team?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But I appreciate it nonetheless. Pete DeBoer has talked about loading up the top 6, and it's worked recently, but do you think Pete DeBoer will go back to a more balanced forward group soon? Isn't that kind of predicated on Mason Marchment getting healthy?
I think you're going to lean on what you have to do in games to win hockey games. If it's a tight game and the minutes are where he wants the minutes, then you want to go out and get the lead. I mean, if he has to load up on guys, that's fine. I think when you start getting up, by a couple goals as the game goes along, he's had an MO. Pete has over the years. Like when you go down and you look at the times, man, guys are even.
Yes,
I mean,
all four groups usually. Yes,
and he finds a way. That's why I thought when what was it 2 years ago? I think they were talking about cutting Jamie's minutes back, or he was going to be down on maybe when he was first getting moved down to the third line. And when I read that, I was like, and then I saw the first game, and I'm like, he's on the first power play unit. I thought it was brilliant to be able to say, okay, he's not going to be in our top 6, but he's going to get the minutes that you're taking away from the top 6, so to speak, and he gives it to him on the power play.
The captain bought into that
100%. And why not? Because look at what he's doing and the points he's picking up, and there's nobody that really not nobody, but they give him more space than they give other guys in front of the net because he's got a loose wire sometimes, and they know he's going to snap if he has to. So he gets a little bit more time and a little bit more space there. But I thought it was smart the way that Pete generally finds a way to allocate minutes and make sure everybody's where they play about the same amount of minutes per game.
So I know it was a weird year because they stopped it after 69 games, 2019, 2020, because of the COVID lockdown in March of 2020. But he only had 39 points in 69 games, regular season. Obviously, then they went and had the playoff. The next year was that weird 56-game season where it was started late. It was like playing a half season, kind of like an end of a lockout, except for it was a lockdown. And Jamie had 35 points in 52 games. Again, not bad, but well below a point a game per pace. Then 21-22, back to 82 games, he scores 46 points. That was the last year of Rick Bowness. Pete DeBoer comes in, and he has 78 points in 82 games. Last year, 60 and 82. This year, he's 27 and 38. I mean, we talk about the 78 being a renaissance of Jamie Benn. But to nearly double your point total from one year to the next with the stylistic change is why we're at where we are right now with the captain.
Well, and the other thing is like some of the things that I complain about in their own end and kind of just skating and not paying attention. There's not as much stop and start in the game that they play. You're a little more flowing. The older you get, you don't want to have to stop and then start. And I think what Jamie does is he can get ahead of steam from the top of the circles in his own end. And coming back into his own end, they come in. They don't really stop on the walls. They don't stop in the slot. They kind of play like this, which sometimes come back to haunt him. But then all of a sudden, he just winds himself up to go run somebody over at the other ring. So I just think it may be easier on him to be able to stay in motion. That's why I wasn't crazy about him playing on the wing. Like in a traditional team, and back in the day, you come into your zone, you stop on the hash marks, and then you're an outlet. There's not here. There's a lot of flow in the game.
To answer sarcastic remarks question one different way is this. Starcastic, not sarcastic. Excuse me. I misspoke. Every coach in the NHL talks about duos more than lines, right? Obviously, a line is three
together, and you find somebody to complement those two.
Well, if Mason Marchment comes back in the lineup, the duos are Robertson and Hintz, Duchesne and Marchment, Benn and Johnston. The question is, would you split up Benn and Johnston to keep Wyatt playing with Duchesne, or do you keep those three duos together and just kind of tinker with those? I think that's what they probably do because he likes that balance.
I'd put Wyatt back there.
With Duchesne?
Yep.
Because they've been that good.
Jamie can play with anybody.
He can.
Jamie's shown that you can put – Jamie's kind of the guy when they are not sure where to go, put him with Jamie because Jamie doesn't care. He's going to play his way. He's going to create space the way he plays for those guys. And when he gets to the younger guys, he's kind of the leader out there, right? And I just think that Wyatt, the more he plays with guys that can translate this, whoever he's playing, the way Wyatt plays and his passing ability and his shot and everything, I think he needs to be with top players. And I'm not saying that Jamie's not. And the other thing about Jamie, he ain't going to care. Well, who are you giving me tonight? Whoever I'm playing
We
with, I
talked
play
about
with.
Miro being a team guy. Jamie's the ultimate team guy because
Yeah.
what's the one thing that's the most important thing to Jamie Benn?
Win a Stanley Cup.
That's it, right?
That's it.
It doesn't matter if he has an Art Ross. It
That's
doesn't
the
matter
shit-
if
that should be the goal of everybody, though.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But isn't it the
yeah.
job of Pete DeBoer and Jamie Benn and others to make sure everybody's goal is to win the Stanley Cup, not get an individual accolade? I mean, nothing against personal achievement, but for the betterment of the team first.
Yeah, and I mean, I think you're seeing Essa takes a little bit of a haircut for five. I want to
Sure.
stay here and win a cup. Matt Duchene's did it twice now, right?
Yep.
And so he's
2 years
probably
in a
going to
row.
do it again. You know, so unless they win a cup and maybe he gets a ton of money. I don't know. But guys are
Remember,
taking,
Nashville's still giving him a ton
how
of money,
about-
too.
We haven't even said it tonight. How about Joe Pavelski? How many years didn't he take a pay cut for 2-3 years?
He
while
had
he's here?
very reasonable number. He
Yeah.
probably could have gotten something
But
else.
that's because
he was
wants
trying to win.
These guys that are coming in here now are guys that want to
Oh,
win.
that was
yeah,
a
our bell's
terrible
broken.
bell.
We've been.
There we
yeah,
go.
We've used the JP bell so long. We need a new bell.
Yeah, we need another super
Just get
chat.
a cowbell.
But you
in
know
here.
what? I think we may have more super chats, but we'll have to do that next here on the DLS Dallas Stars postgame show. Let's talk about being a diehard. Guess what, guys? Your chat involvement is phenomenal, and we love everybody. And the more and more we do this, the more it seems the chat becomes even more fun. When the Stars lose, there's vitriol and anger and passion, and we have to talk you off the ledge, and that's fine. That's what we're here for. And Steve Spot.
Oh, by the way, Owen.
Yeah.
Since this technically isn't the same as the Sam Steele request that came in because this was a request that I had for myself earlier
you
in the
requested
show.
your own. This is a weird Inception thing going on, John.
There it is.
Look at that, Luds. We have the Alain Nasruddin.
Oh, there you go.
That's a young one. That's still when he was playing, I think, for Pittsburgh.
Why does he have to have devil eyes? If Spotter's got devil eyes, and Spotter's power play is, so-so.
Well, the spotter evil eyes go either way.
And why
though.
do we want to jinx Elaine right now with the same board?
That's a good
Like, they're
point.
rolling along right now. Give them angel wings or something.
That's interesting. A little
All right,
Elaine
I'll have
Halo.
to submit that to Craig Ludwig digital editing
Okay.
services, and we'll see if he can
I'll get it
around
done
to
for you.
Well, we appreciate everybody in the chat. It's a lot of fun, but there's another level of your support, which is the Die Hard program. And if you sign up to be a Die Hard, you get extra access to all things. Like, for example, everything that Sam and Sean writes about the Stars, whether it's behind the Die Hard paywall or not. But that includes all the other sports, Cowboys, Rangers, Mavericks. I went to the Mavs game last night. A lot of fun. They didn't have Luka, they didn't have Kyrie, and they lost to the best team in the NBA right now, the 30-4 Cavaliers. But that's another podcast. You can also access our Discord, which many of our chat goers also get into. They can actually chat during the game on the Discord, which is a great place for that because we're not broadcasting during the game, except for our watch-alongs. We might do another one. And if you're in the Discord, that means when we do a Luddy Damn Discord, you can get his question, hypothetical, stump the Luds, whatever. And in addition to all that, each year you sign up to be a diehard, you get a free t-shirt, yours to pick, a promo code from any of the ones that we have on our DLS merchandise page. And guess what, Luds? We got a 5-game Eastern Conference road trip coming up, which means I've got a different DLS
That's
shirt.
awesome. That means we're out of here before midnight.
It means driving through rush hour to get here.
You know what the best part is? When I get here, the elevators will still be working. They'll still be working.
No. Okay.
And I don't have to go.
You need to tell everybody the
Should we
story
do this
about
now? Should we get it out of the way?
why is this funny to me and what happened today.
We can invite Sam in.
Yeah.
Sam, we
I
have
wanna be
story
part of this.
time. I don't know.
I know, that's
you
why I want to come in.
You want to hear this? Hi, Sam.
Yeah.
Well,
but-
Steph,
Hello,
wait.
guys.
Isn't it more important to hear what Sam's got?
No, because
No.
not only do we have another nickname in the chat, but this will be a great Ludscapades. They're calling you Sexy Sam tonight, Sam.
Oh, good. I'm advancing.
That's the way to show him.
Bit redundant with hot.
He's
kind of the
showing
same
you
thing.
his broad shoulders right now.
That is. Why don't you flex a little bit while you're back there,
Hey,
Sam?
Gumby, turn around. There you go.
Hey, tell the story, will you?
He's just trying to read the chat.
I'll just do
Wow.
this way.
So I get here tonight, which I'm kind of an early guy, and
Hates to be late.
I can't stand it. But typically I would think that the guy that's kind of driving the bus, not you, the director, would always be here. Well, anyways, he's not. Half the time I get here, he's not.
Who, me?
No, not you,
Oh,
John.
our producer.
Yeah, John. So anyways, I get here
Not
and I
true,
get
but
to the
go on.
elevator and I push the button for number 4, which is our floor, and it doesn't light up, which means it's not locked.
Yeah.
Because I have to unlock it if no one's here.
Yeah.
So
So
it's a Saturday, which means that unless there's other games,
I don't
there's
know
nobody
that.
else in the building.
So what I've been doing when I get here early and it's not lit up, I go to 3 and I get off on 3 and I just take the steps up and come here. Well, it wasn't that way tonight. So I get up there and the door is locked to get out of the stairwell onto number 4. So I just sit down thinking the chief is going to be here anytime now, because now
you sit down in the stairwell.
I'm in the stairwell. Yeah, I'm in the stairwell. And so I'm thinking, and then I sent everybody a text message and said, hey, I'll be in the stairwell.
And I
when
was in the
somebody
car
gets here,
driving here when I got
let me out. Well, then I'm waiting and waiting. I thought, well, I'm just going to go back down to the 2nd floor, and get the hell out of here. Or no, actually be the 3rd, because that's when I came in.
Could at least gone down to
I'm
Dick's
just going to go down there. I go downstairs and wait for you guys. Well, that's locked. I'm like, well, what's this all about? Then, anyways, they're all locked. So I come back upstairs again, and I sit down again, and nothing's happening. Now I'm a little freaked out because I'm sitting in the stairwell. Nobody's around. So at least we have windows on the 4th
Ben is
floor.
listening right now.
But I took, then I'm going to have to cop to this.
No, keep going.
I had a yellow highlighter thing, and I ultimately had a black marker. I wrote SOS backwards on the windows out to the people on the street just in case anybody would see it. And nobody sees it. Well, then come to find out, Owen comes in, opens up the door, and lets me out, and he's laughing at me, and he gets out. John's sitting upstairs eating. Our guy that was supposed to let his been here for 20 minutes while I'm sitting in the stairwell. It's a good thing I'm not.
Sam, I wish you could have seen Lutz's face when he walked in and looked up at me with
I
chicken
look like
sandwich
Spotter.
halfway down
Pull
my
up
throat.
Spotter. That's what I look like. That's what I look like staring at
angry
him.
eyes. So
Very disappointed.
I got the texts on my Apple CarPlay as I'm driving down the tollway, and he goes, I'm locked out. I'm in the stairwell. So I chirped him back with my little voice text because I knew that John was probably on his way. And so or already there and he didn't know. So I just said, that's what you get for being that early. Just trying to be a little funny and whatever. Well, then I pull off the highway, off the tollway, coming right into our parking garage, and another text comes and Bloody goes, I'm still down here in the stairwell. Where is everybody? And I figure, well, John's usually here by now. So go up, walk over to the building, go up the elevator. Elevator works, by the way. And I go, oh, Luddy must be in there now. Walk in, and I look up, and I see John up in the kitchen eating. And he goes, I go, hey, John. He goes, hey, look at you. You actually beat Luds to the office for a change. And I go, wait, you don't know where Luds is? He goes, no. I go, he's still in the stairs. So I went over, unlocked the door, and Luds is sitting on the top step on the landing with his laptop in his lap using the Wi-Fi.
I'll just do a remote from there. I'll remote me in tonight.
I wish we had a picture so bad. So bad.
It was so funny. The only thing that would have been funnier is if we had gotten a video of Sam using the mechanical bull.
All right, let's get to Sam.
Well, Sam, the explanation for this is that I had, on my days off.
Unbelievable.
I have my phone. You can do like custom do not disturbs now where like you turn on do not disturb, but it only mutes certain things. And on my days off,
you just muted Luds?
It mutes Twitter, it mutes Slack, and it mutes all of your asses because I don't want to hear from anyone on my day
radio
off.
silent.
So
what
I
happens
forgot,
if? But I don't
forgot
get
to
it.
set it
What
back.
happens if one of the bosses needs you for something?
Then they call
What's
me.
your excuse?
Then they call me. I don't have to look at Slack on my day off. Sorry.
But it wasn't a day off.
You're
It was a day.
slacking when
Yeah,
you're
well,
here.
no, it was yesterday, and then technically I'm not on the
carried
clock till
over.
3 p.m. and then it gets turned on at 3
God.
p.m.
Can we please get to
I
Sam
forgot
on
to
the
do
report
it,
from the
so.
players and the head coach?
By the way,
This is how you
I just want to point out before we get to Sam, we have now found confirmation that Hot Sam has become a thing in the chat. And the next request is, can we please get a Hot Sam t-shirt?
You're going to have to get that one on your own, Sam.
There you go.
Yikes.
But I do have somebody that does make shirts. So,
I'm telling you,
know,
we have a no distractions
I know a guy.
custom. We need a Hot Samando or something of that ilk. All right, Sam, Mr. Roadside Assistance, what do you got?
Well, tough to follow up that one, but I'll do my best with the first sighting of Mr. 91, Tyler Seguin, down at the rink today.
How'd he
saw him
look?
after the game? He was Tyler Seguin. He was smiling. He was happy. He said hi to everyone. He had one crutch, so he was walking on one leg with one crutch on his right side. So just good to see him, though. That may not mean a whole lot towards the return, but just having him back around the rink, the fact that he's back around the team, it's great for this team, and it's great for Tyler Seguin just to be around. So that was really good for all of us to be able to see him on the way out. So that's number one. Number two, similar situation here tonight to what happened on Thursday with some guys getting benched in the third period with Huru and Maverick Bork, who I think played a total of about 20 seconds in the third period, and Huru didn't play much at the end of the second period as well. So asked Pete DeBoer about that, seeing if it was just the same thing as last game, trying to get Rope Hintz on the ice more or roll the guys that were going. And he interestingly said, yes, it was, getting those guys out there and shortening the bench because they were in a tie game and wanted the guys that were going. But he also said, he said it wasn't a punishment for those guys. It wasn't anything those two did wrong, but he did say that it is their responsibility to not make those decisions easy. And I know we've talked about this in the past when it comes to being a healthy scratch or being the one that's sent down. It's not always something you did wrong. It's not like you were terrible and you needed to get benched or you need to get sent down, but you also didn't make it hard on the coaches to keep you there. And for Huru and Bork, they just didn't do enough to, when Pete DeBoer said we might need to shorten the bench, they were the first two to get called on. So just something to keep an eye on here. This is not something we've seen a ton of this season. Pete DeBoer loves to roll four lines. He told me ideally in a perfect world, he wants to roll four lines every night, all game. But in situations like this where they're in a tie game and you have some guys that are going and some guys that aren't, he said Utah's depth was outplaying our depth. Straightforward, one to one. They were outplaying them, and that made the decision even easier to just go with a three-line rotation. They kind of rotated Stankoven and Blackwell in there, so it was really just Huru and Bork that were left out. But just something to see if this continues here, because this does affect this team. This team is as good as it is a lot of times because they roll four lines. If they're shortening their bench, taking 1, 2, or even 3 guys out, it could affect them going forward. So just something I'm going to keep an eye out here for the next few games.
Hey, Sam, I would also say sometimes it's just a read between the lines kind of thing. It's just, we know you're a good player and stuff like that, but if you want to stay here, you got to find a way to do a little bit more, without saying it,
Yeah.
By the way, Sam, we made a little joke in the pregame about Casey DeSmith not getting a game for the first time against Utah. Casey's 4-0 in his life in 4 appearances against Utah and Arizona combined. Well, Jake Oettinger now in 8 games against the 2, Utah and Arizona, 7-1. That's not too shabby either.
Yeah, the Stars like to see the red of Arizona and now the light blue of Utah on their schedule, because it just seems to be 2 points every time. And this was far from an easy game. We've seen some easy ones in the past, especially when they were Arizona and going all the way back to Phoenix. But this was not an easy game, but for whatever reason, they seem to own these guys, and they found a way. This was not a perfect game for Dallas at all. I mean, they needed Jake Oettinger to make some big saves. They needed some heroics, and they needed some things to bounce their way, but they found a way to get 2 points, and that's really important, especially with how tight this race is getting over and over again. Extending a point streak to 6 games is nothing to ignore.
So we got an email right at the start of the post-game show from Stars PR. No practice tomorrow, was scheduled off day, and then maybe a little bit of an eyebrow raise, but not really surprising. No practice Monday. They're going to fly straight to New York. That means you don't have to hustle over there on Monday. I won't do that. Luds wasn't stressing about that at all.
No.
But was there any talk about the upcoming 5-game Eastern Conference road trip?
Not much. I know they've been playing a lot of hockey, right? They've played every other day essentially since they got back. Obviously with that 3-day break in there in between. So I think at this point, this team, we're not seeing the sickness and all those things that we were seeing, but we are seeing a team that is going to play a lot of hockey. And after that February break, going to play a lot of hockey again. So I think they're just taking advantage of anything they have. This is the first time they got a nice 2-day break before they go travel. They play, a few good teams in a couple of really fun cities. And even more so interesting or good for me is that I can now get on that flight at 7 a.m. on Monday and get my butt over to New York so I can get there for the New York City and Philadelphia game, which I'm super stoked for.
Thanks to everyone who joined on our television platforms. Make sure to like and subscribe here on the pod and check out alldlls.com. Okay, back to the show.
He's going on another trip?
He is.
Do we ever get to do road trips or no?
Have you asked? I haven't.
Well, I'm asking.
You're asking the wrong guy.
Luds, you want to come? I'm riding in the cargo bathroom on Spirit Airlines. It's beautiful.
Oh, the worst. I'm gonna be able to feel Sam's ass hurting from here on that Spirit Airlines flight.
See,
those things are brutal.
Bananas.
There's enough people out there that want to feel Sam's ass. Now you're
That's
another
true.
one.
He's becoming a T-shirt.
It's telekinesis between Sam and I. We can always just feel each other's asses,
So
you know?
we have a lot still to get to, including 2 more super chats at least.
Yes. Yep.
All right, let's get to them. Little Stars After Dark
Bing
after
bang.
hours.
Oh
After a
no.
3-2 overtime win. A little Masterton Stanley Cup here. That's the second one we've gotten of that number tonight. Michael Moore. Nils bet on himself this year. While I am no expert, just a season ticket holder, a season ticket holder coach. It looks like he is showing signs of a good NHL defenseman. Stank is so snake bitten. Thought OT he had it, but he fumbled the puck. Boy, did he ever. Yeah, look, I actually talked to Nils on Thursday for a little bit at the morning skate media availability, and he had said that it was always Dallas. Even when they didn't extend the qualifying offer, that was a plan. His representation, his agent, and Jim Nill had those conversations, Stars front office. They had a plan, and they had a way of, getting him re-signed. They didn't have to go through arbitration or anything like that. But I was kind of curious because, Luddy, you and I have talked about this, and Sam on the show of, boy, there's a stretch where they aren't showing a lot of trust in him in the playoffs. Why would you keep coming back here? And he said he really likes it here, and he just kind of felt like this was the place to be.
Yeah, and I'm sure it took a good talk with Jim Nill, and we know that Jim Nill can do that. And I would have to say also, though, I don't think Jim goes out and has that conversation with Nils and brings him back here if Jim didn't have a talk with Pete DeBoer prior to that, because that's the guy that's deploying the minutes and everything else. So, and he's done everything that the coaching staff has asked and Jim and him have talked about. It's just interesting for me is, I think when a guy's I think we can see his confidence right now. So I'm just wondering what happens when they feel like they've got to get Brendan Smith back in the lineup, because they're going to have to.
I was going to ask you that today, but we just didn't have enough time in the pregame show. It's been a while since he's played.
Well, and again, you want to be able to keep him in some kind of a rotation.
Yeah, because you need to keep him ready.
Yeah, he's got to be ready somehow. And, and again, maybe that's not as important right now, maybe as you get a little closer to playoff time, but regardless. And my thing is that they probably have an open dialogue with Nils about that if he is the one. The only other option, I guess, is Matt Dumba right now as we sit here today, because there's no reason it's going to be one of the big three or Lyubushkin, I should say the big four. It's not going to be them.
No, it's not.
So it's down to Matt and Brendan Smith and Nils. But regardless, but he is doing everything that they've asked, and he is not a liability. And you look at the things how he does it. He moves the puck in his own zone. He sees somebody, he moves it. He defensively, he play. Tonight I didn't like the way the decision he made on the 2-on-1 at the end there, but again, he's a young player and he's going to have to learn from that, and hopefully they sit down and they may say, listen, we're okay with playing that way. I don't know anymore. So I would prefer that he doesn't. I prefer you kind of look around and give your goaltender the best opportunity to. I think you'd rather see a 2-on-1 than an almost breakaway.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's do the other one because we still have more to do. Hey, T Farmer jumps in with a DeSmith. This is what's called the jamiebenn special. The DeSmith and 99, the cup here, because I think it's either that or the 0.99. New year, new page, Otter stealing points, hype. Sam, it wasn't that long ago people were not happy. Jake Oettinger had a tough game. Minnesota, 2-goal lead at home, lose in overtime. A little different tonight.
Absolutely different. And I think I said to you, Owen, on either Thursday or Tuesday or in November or who knows, but one of the games where Jake used to steal. That what makes Jake so good is that he steals shots. He steals those 1 or 2 that look like it's going to be a goal, and that's what gives the Stars a chance. Maybe they're not playing their best, or maybe it's just one of those times where Jake doesn't get a lot of shots and he gets a breakaway or a 2-on-1 and he makes that key save. We hadn't seen it for a little bit, right? It wasn't like he was playing poorly, but he just wasn't stealing the game for him, and that's what makes Jake Oettinger so special. Tonight he certainly did. I mean, he had to be really good. He had some really hard pushes. I thought Utah was the better team in the last 20, at least maybe 25, 30 minutes of the game. And Jake held strong and he made a couple saves. I mean, that diving glove save on the super skilled Logan Cooley, who was patient as ever with that shot. He stole a couple tonight, and they need him to do that. Like Sean said, Jake can't just be right in the middle. He can't be average. He needs to be Jake Oettinger for this team to have success.
All right. We have to do a couple things, and then we have a quick around the league we need to get to as well. It's time for the Herman Marshall Marquee Moment of the Game. Pick up your favorite bottle at your closest goody liquor store. Buds?
Thomas Harley. I mean, is there a bigger moment in the game than getting that extra point?
Winning in overtime?
And I thought Thomas was good tonight. You know, he had one or two little things, but for the most part, he was involved offensively. But I thought that OT goal, that's it.
For every bottle of single-barrel straight bourbon whiskey, Herman Marshall donates 15% of its revenue to the Guns N' Hoses Foundation of North Texas for those who went before. Stop into your closest goody liquor store to find your favorite bottle. All right, Sam, quick man of the match. Then we've got to talk about some Eastern Conference foes.
Yeah, real quick, I just want to say Wyatt Johnston and Thomas Harley were specifically mentioned by DeBoer as people who played a ton of minutes last year in the playoffs and had a slow start. And he actually said they both look like completely different players right now. So big for Harley and big for Johnston. But my pick is Jamie Benn. I think the captain, I just was getting requests in the chat to write about him. I was already planning on doing that because he's such an interesting story with how he just kind of seems to show up out of nowhere. He's not bad or anything like that, but all of a sudden he just goes into that beast mode and he starts shooting the puck like crazy. Mentioned in the post game that he is trying to shoot the puck more. He's got like 16, 15 shots in his last 3 games. So the captain going makes this team a heck of a lot better. And when he's shooting the puck like that, so I'm giving it to Jamie Benn.
Buds?
Ben again. Not the Tyler. Not that Ben again, but Ben again. I had 6 hits. I mean, or 6 shots, 4 hits. You know, your captain.
I wanted to pick somebody different just because Jamie's been phenomenal. Harley got the game winner. Johnston now has a 6-game point streak. He had a phenomenal primary assist on Jamie's goal. He picks up a secondary assist on the overtime winner. I almost want to pick Matt Duchene because he had 2 helpers, 1 primary, 1 secondary. I'm going to go with Wyatt, though, because 6-game point streak, he's starting to get up and running at the level that we need him to. And he has helped Matt Duchene, who lost both of his line mates to injury. And instead of going out and getting lost, now Matt Duchene's a phenomenal elite player, but he does better with the proper compliments. And Wyatt and Jamie are giving him the compliments right now.
Is this man of the match or man of the month or the man of the week or what?
All.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
right.
He's been that good. And
he has. You're right.
And Jake Oettinger, solid night, right?
Hey, it's a good problem to have when you're doing these kind of things in the selectness when you're not sure which one of 5 you're supposed to take.
If you're scratching your head going, geez, it's the guy in the other team.
And when you're going Duchene or Hintz or Ben or Oettinger or Johnston, means it's all the top players. They're doing what they're supposed to do.
Ha! Allie got in. Remember Allie called Sam Hot Sam the other day? Well, she's in the chat now, and she wants to blame, or she's asking if she can blame it on the wine.
You probably should. You probably should.
I'm not sorry for the Hot Sam thing. I'm telling you, Allie, there's a reason for it because it's already sparked requests for T-shirts. I think that's hilarious. So you're absolutely allowed to blame it, but don't be sorry because we think it's hilarious. And Sam told us that his extended family enjoyed it. They were just tickled pink about it. So, all right. One last thing, guys, for us to talk about. We are getting ready for the 4 Nations, and it's coming up in February. One player that I would particularly like to be healthy and playing at his best, because I am an American fan, go Team USA,
Captain America.
Austin Matthews. We as covering of the Dallas Stars and all the things down in the Central Division don't spend a lot of time cheering for the Maple Leafs, right? That's just, if anything, a lot like the Cowboys, it's kind of fun to see all the madness when things aren't going well for the Leafs. The Leafs are a pretty good team, but Austin Matthews has been hurt. He came back, re-aggravated the injury. Well, he came back tonight and he was a big part of another Leafs performance with some points. Goal. Matthew Nyes had an unbelievable tip on the first goal. Sam, I think you retweeted that. That's how I saw it at first. From Matthews, he got a goal later. I just want to make sure he's healthy for Team USA. Is that too selfish of me for all those Leaf fans out there that probably hate that?
I think you want to have all the big guys on display, first off. He got an Ovechkin goal tonight, by the way.
Did he?
Yeah, it was an empty netter.
Is that a problem,
It's an empty netter.
But it's still a goal.
It's a goal.
Logan
I know.
Stankoven desperately needs an Ovechkin goal.
Yeah.
I think Ovechkin scored again, too.
Well, that's the other thing.
He'd take a Sam Nestler goal right now. He'd take any kind of goal.
Hey.
Sam Nestler goal, is that the one where he clogs some plumbing somewhere?
Yeah.
That's where I chip it out of the zone, get us a change.
That's right. Wall. I'll never forget it. Men's league, he's yelling, wall.
I can't wait for us to all lace them up together and see this because I have to see that play. Ovechkin has 4 goals in his last 5 games. Yeah. Is that since coming back from the broken leg? I think he's 4 and 5.
Yep. He scored in his first game back.
And,
empty netter. But regardless, it's a goal. It's going to the record. What's the old saying? They don't ask you how, they just ask you how many. And we know how many it is for him.
19th goal of the year. He's going to do it this year, isn't he?
I don't think
yes.
He is. I think he's going to fall short. And some would say, you know what? He's coming back from a broken leg, and he's not really probably up to top NHL speed for him. Not that's very fast, but I'm just saying.
Not anymore.
No, but I don't know. What's he got? What does he need now? 24, 25? What does he need?
I want to say it's 23.
23 now? Yeah. So he's got 40 some games to go. So he's on going back to last year, I think he's on to like another 70 goal pace. Going back to last year. I mean, it's unreal. Yeah.
Last thing on Matthews. Are you concerned at all about the re-aggravating he can get hurt again and not only miss 4 nations, but
you have a thing for Matthews that we're concerned about him getting hurt? I'm not concerned about him getting hurt. I could care less.
First of all,
he doesn't play for this team.
No, but if you forgot what our producer said, it was kind of important. We wanted to talk about
we can talk about him. So the answer is no, I don't care if he gets hurt.
Okay.
I mean, if he
are also Mr. Team USA over there.
I'm not Team USA. Well, of course. I mean,
wait a minute. What team are you cheering for in the 4 nations?
Well, I don't cheer. I just love the sport.
Okay, so
I just want to see good hockey.
So you want to see Canada win or Sweden?
No, I don't want to see Canada win. Please.
I don't think they're going to. Don't worry.
Yeah. They don't have. But they don't care. They don't practice anyways.
Okay, so I'll wrap it up, Sam, with this: U.S. won today. They will play Finland in the World Junior.
Are we going to do a ride along for one of them games?
We only have one left. It's the gold medal game. USA Finland World Juniors.
No, I meant for
4 nations.
I mean, couldn't we do a special ride along show?
We could a watch along,
whatever it's called.
A ride along.
A ride along. We're gonna watch.
Will I have to?
We
work
should
an
have to
extra
sign
day
waivers.
to do it?
I mean,
let's workshop this a little bit.
Yeah.
John's just trying to get his days off.
All right. I hope I paused in there for our producer somewhere in there. But
Buddy will be hearing from management after that segment.
Do you think
we do have another super chat, Owen? Before
I was going to say, do we have another one? Because I thought I might have seen one. Bing bang. William W. Williams with a Heiskanen and Stanley Cup year with the AHL going during the 4 nations. It's kind of appropriate from our conversation. Do you give Maverick or Logan a couple games down there, or give them the full time off?
I don't see Logan doing that. I can see Maverick. Young kid, first year, playing at this level. We've talked about this enough. Logan does so many things in the course of a game. Right now, it's the only thing he's not doing is scoring. And there were a couple times tonight he looks a little tight. He looks tight, and the only way he's getting out of that is to score a goal. And I don't think it's going to matter if he scores it there, although some people will say just get there and start scoring. I just don't think you're going to do that with him. But I don't expect this to go on very much longer.
I thought he was going to bury that overtime when Oettinger made the nice play to throw it out to him. I need a breakaway, and then you could just see. Lud said tight. That's the perfect way to look at that play. The puck rolls off his stick when he's got nobody around him. He needs one bad, and I was hoping so bad he was going to rip that thing far side and end the game.
You know what, Sam? That may be the bottom.
Right there.
You ain't going any lower than that.
I hope that is
for him.
I hope it goes up
for him. That's really low because we're not. We know he can put the puck in the net. So maybe that's it. Maybe that's the bottom. And this road trip, he gets no hometown fans here, and maybe that's what it is. Maybe he comes home with 3 goals in 5 games.
I'm still
Calling
amazed
it.
that Utah is last in the league in home points and one of the best in road points. They looked like it tonight. They played a good road game, just to bring it back to the game tonight. And now the Stars have to go do that on the road. 5 games in the East. We're going to see your old club, Les Habitants, for 2 games in like a week.
Well,
Home and then coming back on the other side of that. So Montreal, New York, a couple of fun ones out there. The Flyers, we get to see Stankoven versus Michkov. Maybe that will get them going again. Another visit to Ottawa. We get to see them again. And the Toronto Maple Leafs.
and Austin Matthews.
And Austin Matthews.
All right.
Oh, I know. I've heard
I'm
of
going to
him.
wear my American shirt. I have American flag. I'm going to wear that for you.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up for us tonight. We thank you for the little extended hanging around for us tonight. Stars win 3-2 in overtime. We are off tomorrow. We have, I believe, a 1 p.m. regular podcast show on Monday, which, again, because of the busy week, is our only regular podcast of next week because we have games Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday, a little Sunday matinee in Ottawa to wrap up.
You guys are
busy
low key
week.
psyched to see me with my background of my girlfriend's bedroom again on the show. I know that you are.
So when is this? Is this going to be Tuesday, Thursday for you?
I'll be at the games Tuesday, Thursday. So Monday I'll be in the normal studio with the background closet, as you guys love.
Your girlfriend gonna give you a booster seat as well, just like the AAC did tonight?
Oh, we almost forgot about
I
it.
have it
Look
right
at
here.
this. They
Oh
helped
no, he has it.
Sam.
Oh, hold it up. Hold it
Yeah.
up. Do you have it there? Let me see it.
I have it right here. You got to see the game somehow, boys.
Oh, my God. You take a scooter to AAC and he takes a booster chair to AAC? Look at this.
Can you bring that on Spirit Airlines with you?
Oh,
Spoiler alert, you're gonna need it.
This
No.
is part of my backpack now.
Wouldn't Spirit charge
bring it
extra for a
everywhere.
booster?
I mean, they're definitely, that would count as like an extra item, and they'd charge you like
carry-on or
$10
something?
for it.
That would be my
Yeah.
carry-on.
You
Yeah.
got to check that thing.
Oh, that's great. Well, Sam, safe travels. And we'll talk to you Monday afternoon from whatever dungeon you broadcast from next.
Can't wait.
For Sam Nestler, Craig Ludwig, our producer, John Anderson, I'm Owen Newkirk. Have a great rest of your weekend. We are very happy you joined us, whether it was live on the YouTube broadcast, later on YouTube On Demand, or listening on one of our audio streaming platforms. Have a great weekend. So long, everyone.
We all silly like the mayor.